Yo, what up, folks? How you doing? My name is Lorenzo. I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for watching. I just wanted to share a few stories, share my story specifically, and kind of go through a few things that happened to me in my life, and some of the struggles that I faced as a youngster, and some of the family struggles, the poverty, just the a little bit of homelessness, the living with different family members and friends of the family, and just kind of moving around from place to place without really having a stable household, really until I bought my own house. Maybe 3-4 years ago was the first time I really had true stability in my life. So I just want to talk a little bit about struggle and how you can overcome that if you just put in a little bit of hard work and effort, find a passion if you can, and just kind of do what it takes to reach those goals that you're going to have to set for yourself. Yeah, so just tell you a little bit about myself. I'm an IT professional. I'm in IT management. I've been in IT management for a number of years now, maybe 7, 8, 9 years, and consistently been able to move up the management chain. Started off my IT career very very humbly, putting in RAM into desktops and laptops, but at a Fortune 500 company, so that was pretty cool. From the south side of Chicago, raised right outside of Chicago in Aurora, Illinois. So very, very humble beginnings, like I said. So my entire family is pretty much from the south side of Chicago. My mom decided to branch out and raise us out in Aurora, which is a suburb right outside the city. It's so nothing too crazy there, but just knew that we moved a lot when I was a kid, and I really didn't understand why. So I would say there was an apartment complex, 2 apartment complexes that were very, very close to each other. One was on a street named Monomoy, one was on a street named Gladstone. Not important, but just 2 apartment complexes, and we would move back and forth to them. I'd say about 4 or 5 times throughout my childhood, between the ages of maybe 4 and 7 or something like that. And I never really understood why. I was just like, oh, we live over here now. Okay, we're back to Gladstone. Oh, okay, we're back to Monomoy. Whatever. I come to find out later on in life it's because we didn't have a lot of money and we're being evicted from one place, and for whatever reason we were able to move back into the other place after some time passed. Don't know the details on that, but just knew that we're getting evicted, and that's the reason why we were having to move so much. So moved back and forth. Didn't have to really change schools with those moves, so those were fine. But I'd say that's probably not having that stability is probably where some of my I would say my anger may have come from. So, but for whatever reason, I just had this anger issue while I was in school. At home and around family, I was just normal. Never been like really a quote unquote tough guy or anything like that. But for whatever reason, I just didn't want to listen to people telling me what to do that weren't my family or parents. So I would always get in trouble in school. I remember very vividly a story when I was, I want to say it was around 1st grade. A kid probably broke my pencil, I think it was. And I remember the teacher kind of grabbing me up and crossing my arms. I got up in a fit of rage, just angry, like I was going to fight the kid. I really wasn't. But the teacher kind of grabbed me up and she's just like holding my arm saying, "Lorenzo, calm down, calm down." And so I stepped on her foot, broke it away, and just kind of ran outside the school building. And I remember they were doing construction on the school, so they had about 3 or 4 trailers kind of set off to the side, and they had temporary classrooms built in there. So I ran to the trailer, trying to kind of walk inside the trailer and kind of just chill there, but it was locked, so I just sat on the steps, and I was just kind of thinking like, all right, now what? I'm out here, it's kind of chilly, no jacket. Then I see the principal come out. She's like, "Lorenzo," so I get up, I run a little bit. She doesn't really chase me, I just kind of stop running, and she catches up to me. She's like, "What's going on?" And I think that's probably my first suspension from school. I'm pretty sure that was the first time I got suspended. So from there, right after that moment, the school put me in anger management counseling classes. They were outside of the classroom, like maybe once or twice a week or something. Did it for about a month, and just kind of just told my mom, told the teachers, I don't really want to do that. I don't like being singled out, being, brought outside the class. And I really didn't feel like I needed it. I mean, I'm a kid, of course. I don't have anger issues. The hell are you guys talking about? So that was that. I think that was the first time my parents probably saw that that I was going to be a handful throughout life. But there were a lot of suspensions from that moment on. I was suspended countless times, maybe 10, 15 times throughout my elementary and high school years, up until being expelled from public high school when I was a freshman. I'd say maybe second quarter. I don't even think it made it to second quarter. So, but leading up all to high school, I was just a terrible student. I mean, I barely made it to high school. I remember I had to go to summer school in 8th grade. Right, so and my mom begged the counselor at the school to allow me to attend summer school. My grades were so terrible that I wasn't even qualified to go to summer school. So my mom did what she did. She begged the counselor. The counselor finally agreed. She said, you know what, I'm going to let your son go. And I believe her name was like Miss White. I don't know. But my mom had a really good relationship with her, because my sister also was a handful. So she allowed me to go to summer school, and I did whatever it took to get through summer school. So I never felt like I didn't know how to do anything in school. I just didn't really want to do it. I didn't like authority. I didn't want people telling me what to do and when to do it and when to hand in work. It's like, I'll do it when I want to. That's the kind of attitude I had. So it's not a good attitude to have. I was very misguided for whatever reason. And so once I did get accepted into the summer school program, I told myself at that moment, like, man, I am not going to repeat a grade. I do not want to be that kid that has to go back to 8th grade and while all my peers are in high school. So I did whatever it took. I didn't get a question wrong on any assignment in summer school. No bullshit. And I was still nervous, still nervous that I wouldn't make it. So I passed that. My mother, just really quick, just a story on my mom and how dedicated she was at times. We were poor, like I said, so we were living with my grandmother during this time, my transition between 8th grade and high school. So my grandmother lives on the south side of Chicago. Like I said, I grew up in Aurora. All my schooling and all that was pretty much done in Aurora. So we were living with my grandmother on the south side, and my mom drove me back every day to Aurora, which is about an hour drive, just so I could attend that summer school through that whole summer. I think it was about a 2-month program. So that was a crazy drive, maybe an hour and a half, 45 minutes every single day. Then I would take the train back to Chicago after summer school. So did that, got through it. We ended up moving back to Aurora. My mom got some stability, got back on her feet a little bit, and we moved back to Aurora, had an apartment, and I started high school. But because my junior high school career was just so terrible, I mean, I started high school on a behavioral, attendance, and there was a third one. I don't remember what it was, but a contract basically is what they just had introduced it to the high school out in Aurora, which basically meant it was a 3-strike policy. If you got in trouble 3 times, no matter what the issue was, you were gone. So that was quick. 3 strikes, like shit. I mean, I'm gonna have that by the end of the week, because I still just could not deal with authority. I just didn't have it in me. For whatever reason, I did not want people telling me what to do, even though they didn't mean any harm. They weren't trying to, they were trying to help. Obviously, they're teachers, but I didn't want to hear that shit. Just let me get on with my day. Let me sleep. Let me talk a little shit. Let me be the class clown if I can. I lived in the hallway. I got in trouble all the time. So, however, I say my freshman year lasted about, like I said, maybe about a quarter or so. And I remember like it was yesterday, we were in class getting a presentation. And my first period class was science. So just to take a step back, we had so little trust being in this program, this behavioral program, that, in traditional high school, every class is in a different classroom. Not for us. We basically had 2 or 3 classrooms. You guys go from here to here because we don't trust you in gym pop, essentially. So and I still couldn't make it through that. And it was only going to be for maybe, I think, a semester. And then if you got through it fine, then you can go back into general population, and then everything was all good. You'll be good. But however, I remember like it was yesterday, I was kind of leaning back in my chair, like kids do. And the teacher walked up to me, pushed me forward. I was like, oh man, heart jumped a little bit. I'm just like, man, next person pushed me around here, it's gonna be problems. I remember this big ass security guard about 10 minutes later comes into the classroom like, come on, Lorenzo. I'm like, man, what's going on? He's like, you know what you did. And they take me down to the principal's office and I got expelled. They said I threatened the teacher with physical harm, and that was it. That was the end of my my high school, my traditional high school career. And from that moment, I was in alternative school, is what they called it in Aurora. So alternative school was really not school. They should really close that shit down. I have no idea what they're doing. I don't know how that shit is regulated or certified or whatever, but it's a part of the regular school system in Aurora. And this was years ago. Maybe they cleaned that shit up, but I can tell you, we didn't do shit. You were allowed to say whatever you wanted to say. You can treat teachers like complete trash, and it was fine. There was fights. I saw multiple fights. I had never really even seen fights in regular high school. It was crazy. We had 3 classes a day. They were 2 hours long. There was a classroom set of books. No books to take home because they know you ignorant ass kids that are here probably ain't gonna bring these books back. So no books, no homework ever. Only thing you did in class was worksheets, and still, it served to you right there. And I couldn't handle that. I didn't want to do that. Still didn't want to do the work. Didn't want to listen. I basically had a license to go to sleep in class every day because at this school they just did not care. Excuse me. So I slept in class a lot. It was great. And when I sophomore year, the moment I turned 16, I got kicked out. The day after I turned 16, I remember walking up to the school, and they basically said, the principal kind of looked at me with that little smirk, like, man, what are you doing here, Lorenzo? I'm like, man, I'm here for class. He's like, no, you're not. Like, I am. What are you talking about? I'm on time. Everything's good. It's like, no, you're 16 now, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, you've missed however many days it is. I think it's 14 unexcused absences or something at the time. But yeah, you were officially dropped from high school. So, good luck. You can reapply for high school next year. So at that moment, I was a high school dropout. That was that. There's no reapplying for high school. I was still a freshman. This was junior year, but I didn't have enough credits to be a junior. I was still a freshman. And from that moment on, it was just, all right, now what? Now what do I do with my life? But I always still had that passion that I knew what I wanted to do, and that was something in technology. I wanted to learn more about computers. So, knowing that I have nothing to do all day, naturally I just started to, do ignorant shit. Get in a little bit of trouble. No real trouble, no major trouble. Obviously, I'm still sitting here today. But yeah, I had a couple of years of free time. In my mind, it was, well, I know I want to go to college. I can't go to college until I'm 18. I have to get some alternative kind of high school diploma, which is what I did. I did get an alternative to a high school diploma. And I'll just wait it out. So things took a turn for the worse. So between I would say the age of 14 and 15 was when the struggle was probably at its all-time worst. So my sister had already moved out. She was gone. She couldn't handle it, which is understandable. I mean, she was a young woman trying to become herself and to constantly just be sitting in that poverty when we did have an alternative at the time, which was living with my grandmother. She decided to relocate to Chicago, and it was just my mom and I, and we struggled. I mean, it was tough. I mean, I hate to make excuses, but the reason why I got kicked out of high school is because I just didn't have transportation to get to school every day, and I just couldn't make it. I mean, I don't exaggerate when I tell you that my walk was about 2 to 3 miles. I'm gonna track it when I'm done doing this video, and I'll probably post it along with the video so you can see my walk from our apartment complex to school every single day, because I just didn't have bus fare to take it, or I had an option. Either you take the bus home, so all the kids don't see you walking from alternative school, knowing where you live, and make fun of you for not having bus fare, or you use that $2 that you have to take the bus in the morning. So either way, I was going to have to walk home, or walk the 2 to 3 miles either direction. So I didn't complain too much, because every day when I woke up to walk to school. My mom was waking up, walking to work, so it was hard for me to complain about it. But however, it was still a reason why I was late every now and again. So being late at this alternative school, I think you had maybe a 5 to 7 minute window or something silly like that, and they would just essentially turn you away. So this school was on top of a factory warehouse, and you would have to ring the bell at the downstairs at the bottom for someone to buzz you in. And essentially, if it was 8:05 or whatever it was, and you didn't have a note or an excuse, a note from a doctor, then they would turn you away. And I got turned away a couple times. Sometimes I skipped school. I was still an ignorant ass kid. Don't get me wrong. All of it wasn't that. But yeah, so that was the main reason why I missed a handful of days, or enough days to get kicked out, and that was that. So like I said, it got pretty tough there. So I believe I was still in school when I was actually a part of our first eviction, that I actually saw the eviction happening, and they will put your shit out on the streets. I mean, that is a fact. I remember being in the middle of the day. It was maybe noon. And my cousin was staying with us at the time, and we were walking back from the gas station, and I just see couch pillows on the ground right outside of our apartment building. And we're in some apartments called Huntington and Aurora, and these are low-income apartments for folks with Section 8 or just extremely low income. So, I mean, the rent is low. They're shitty apartments. And I remember walking back to them, and I'm seeing, the couch pillows on the ground, but I'm not really putting it together, because I'm thinking like, well, anyone can have these shitty ass couch pillows, and we didn't have a whole couch, we just had the pillows and shit. I'm like, anyone can have these. It just, it's a common, cheap couch. But then we walk into the building, and I see guys, I'm guessing working for the building, kind of just moving, carrying some of my stuff out of the apartment. I'm like, man, hold on, what is going on? Hold on. And so I look upstairs, and I see a police officer, and the guys that are walking downstairs with the stuff, they're just kind of like, talk to the sheriff. I'm like, sheriff. So we get up there, and the sheriff's just like, holding a piece of paper, like, yeah, evicted. I can't let you back in here. I'm like, wow, wow. You go to the gas station and you come back and you literally have nowhere to live. It's just crazy. I mean, I'm just like dumbfounded. So, I mean, they're still, steady stream of taking everything out of the apartment and putting it right outside on the street. So everybody in the apartment complex, they're coming outside, they're looking. It's probably the most embarrassing moment I had, at that time. It's just crazy. You want to cry, you want to be angry, but it's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. So I called my mom. Mom's just like, well, yeah, I knew it was coming, and she's like, well, I'm on my way. We'll gather up what we can off the street. I'm going to borrow my friend's car from work. We'll put it in the trunk. We'll drop it off over here, and that's that. So after that, that was the last, no, I apologize. That was I was going to say that was the last apartment I lived in with my mom, but I'm forgetting, not at all. So from that moment, that's when I knew that I was gonna have to make a change. I was gonna have to figure something out in my life, and we moved into a studio apartment together. And it was a studio apartment above a pawn shop, and the rent was dirt cheap, and we still could barely afford to live there. I remember coming home there one day, and there was like a lock on top of the doorknob. It looked like one of those like child safety locks you put on the doorknobs now, with a padlock on it. So I go downstairs to the pawn shop like, hey, what's up? And they're like, well, tell your mama to pay the rent. I'm just like, wow, So, yeah, so it was tough. It was tough. There were some moments where I didn't know. I mean, we eventually got evicted out of that studio apartment, and I remember sleeping in the car, just pulling the car into the train station parking lot, and late at night I thought, like, what, I'm just gonna kick it all day with my boys, and get as tired as possible, and then I'll park in the parking lot over here at the train station, and just go to sleep, and I'll do that for a few nights while I figure it out. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm probably gonna end up moving in with my grandmother, because at this point my mom's just like, that's it. She's got she has to deal with what she has to deal with, and it was clear that I had to find a way on my own. And I still wasn't ready to find a way on my own. I was 16, so I tried to sleep that night in the car. I really couldn't. I just couldn't fall asleep. I'm crying. I'm upset. I'm sad. It's like, what the fuck, man? What am I gonna do? So get through it. Get through the night. Get up. Put on the face, and I go to work. I think I was working at McDonald's at the time, and I just went to work, and eventually I asked a friend, one of my friend's parents, if I can sleep there for a couple of weeks until I made enough money to kind of get my car fixed and get it right and get out to Chicago and move in with my grandmother. So that's basically what I did. I remember on my 17th birthday, I had about $3 and put it in the gas tank. Drove to Chicago, and then I moved in to my grandma's house and spent a few years on 79th Street, officially living on the South Side. So, just want to share my background to show that even if you go through a lot of struggles in life, things don't go the way that you hope, or you don't make it, or things aren't very easy, that you can still make a way. You can still make a way with setting goals and working hard, and yeah, I'm living proof. I really am. So I always feel like I'm extremely lucky for the opportunities that I've been given. But at the same time, I've gone out there and made it so those opportunities were available to me. So I want to share some of that. So hopefully you can go out and get some of those same opportunities as well, or just know that you're not the only one that faced some tough times, and just what it's like coming from that type of background, and then working with people that have no idea what that life is like. And when I say no idea, they have no idea. You start telling some of those stories, and it's just like people look at you like, man, damn, that shit is true. Like, things like that really happen to people, and man, you'd be surprised. So, and which is one of the reasons why I wanted to start making these videos, because I want people to know that it doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what you don't know. There's always more, and there's always a way that you can better yourself by learning more. Education is the key, and hard work for sure. So, thanks for listening.